Entre tanta tristeza,
yo soy alegría. Entre tanta pobreza, yo soy bendición. Entre tanta religión, yo soy Cristo.
Entre tanto rencor,
Yo soy perdón.
entre tanta muerte, yo soy vida.
Nueva iglesia soy. Nueva iglesia. Nueva iglesia soy. Nueva iglesia soy.
nueva iglesia soy.
Nueva iglesia soy.
Buscaré tu rostro cada mañana y te cantaré como las aves al alba. Buscaré tu rostro cada mañana y te cantaré como las aves al alba. Porque tú eres mi amor, mi Señor, porque tú eres mi vida. Pensando solo en ti hoy empiezo este día. Porque tú eres mi amor, mi Señor, porque tú eres mi vida. Pensando solo en ti hoy empiezo este día. Buscaré tu rostro cada mañana y te cantaré como las aves al alba. Buscaré tu rostro cada mañana y te cantaré como las aves al alba. Buscaré tu rostro cada mañana y te cantaré como las aves al alba. Buscaré tu rostro cada mañana y te cantaré como las aves al alba. Porque tú eres mi amor, mi Señor, porque tú eres mi vida. Pensando solo en ti hoy empiezo este día. Porque tú eres mi amor, mi Señor, porque tú eres mi vida. Pensando solo en ti hoy empiezo este día. Buscaré tu rostro cada mañana y te cantaré como las aves al alba.
Llega la noche y me llamas, sé que tu promesa no acaba. Eres el camino, la vida y verdad, con solo una palabra me sanarás.
Sé que con fe se mueven montañas entre mi vida y mi casa. Por medio de tu amor sé que puedo vencer. Todo es posible si puedes creer.
Fiel y firme aquí estoy, he venido a escuchar tu voz. Fiel y firme aquí estoy, fiel y firme aquí estoy, fiel y firme aquí estoy, he venido a escuchar tu voz.
Fiel y firme, fiel y firme.
Fiel y firme aquí estoy, he venido a escuchar tu voz. Fiel y firme aquí estoy,
Firme.
fiel y firme aquí estoy, fiel y firme aquí estoy, he venido a escuchar tu voz. Fiel y firme aquí estoy.
Something very particular happens
Con las
with anecdotes.
Cuando ellas, las anécdotas,
When the anecdotes happen,
suceden
when they occur,
en un
it
contexto
happens in a
espiritual,
context that is
terminan
spiritual.
convirtiéndose
They
en
end up
testimonios.
turning into
Y
testimonies.
cuando hay una reunión
And when there is
de
a
amigos,
gathering of
de
friends,
hermanos, de
of brothers,
compartidarios de la
people who
mismísima
share
fe, una
the
reunión
same faith,
eclesial o una reunión
or a
oficial,
reunion
entonces suele suceder
of the
que
church
se
official,
comparten testimonios.
what usually happens is that
Testimonios son
testimonies
anécdotas de
are
religión,
shared.
de
These testimonies are
bien
anecdotes in
bien para
which the highest spiritual
el
state
mayor
ends
estamento
up
espiritual
looking
que
good,
tú conozcas. Y
the
como
one
llames,
that you know,
si lo llamas
and
Dios,
with the
Dios
name that
queda
you
bien.
give it. If you
Si lo
call
llamas
it
el
God,
Señor,
you
el
make
Señor
God look
queda
good.
bien.
If you call
Si lo
him
llamas
Lord,
Cristo,
you make the Lord
Cristo queda
look
bien.
good. If you call him
Queda bien.
Christ, then you make Christ look
Aunque
good.
tú o yo
So
quedemos
he would
mal,
look good.
eso no es problema.
Even maybe you or me,
El
we might
testimonio
not look good. It
es
doesn't matter.
que
A
haya
testimony is
algo
when
que
there is
glorifique
something that
la
glorifies
instancia superior
the
espiritual que tú
spiritual
conoces.
superior
Una
instance
definición
that you know.
sencilla,
That's a simple
todo lo contrario
definition
de lo que se
that
llama
I can give to
testimonio.
you of what we call
En
the
el lenguaje
testimony.
coloquial
In the
eclesiástico se refiere como el
colloquial
arca del testimonio. Eso es lo
ecclesiastical
que se refiere.
language, that's what we are talking
Nosotros
about,
no eso.
not
Entonces
the
son
ark of the
anécdotas que
testimony.
en días pasados
That's another thing.
compartimos dos
So
que
we are
fueron
talking about this
resumidas.
anecdotes.
Un viaje
Some
a
days ago,
una
we
ciudad de
shared
Colombia que
two.
es Ibagué.
To
Otro
summarize
muchacho que
them,
soy
one
discipulado.
was a trip to a
Y
city in Colombia which is called Ibagué
en
with a young
resumidas,
man that I was
resumidísimo,
teaching.
a una
And very
reunión un
summarized,
día
we
que
were
no sabía qué
invited
día, a una
invited
hora
to
que
a
no
meeting
sabía qué hora, en un
in a
lugar
day
que yo no
that I
sabía
didn't
qué
know
día.
which day it was, at
Y
a
que yo
time that I
estaba
wasn't
invitado
told what
para
time, in a place wwhere I wasn't
predicar o
told.
enseñar o
And I
hablar
was
un tema
invited to speak or
sobre el
to
tema
preach
de ser
about the
guiado
topic of
por el
being
Espíritu de Dios.
guided by the Spirit of
Acepté el
God.
reto
I
y
accepted the
cuando
challenge,
llegó el día y la
and
hora, pues
when the
llegué al
date
lugar
and the time came,
con
I
este
arrived to the place
compañero,
with my
su,
partner.
su nombre
His
era
name was Alberto.
Alberto Rengifo,
Alberto
y
Rengifo.
fuimos
He was
y
with me.
estuvimos
He was with me, and we were there.
sucede en la ciudad de Ibagué. También compartimos
And this
otra
happens in the
anécdota
city of
en
Ibagué.
la ciudad de
We
Cúcuta,
also
en
shared
Perú,
another
que viajamos
anecdote
con un grupo
in the city of Cucuta
de
in
amigos y
Colombia
compañeros
that
de
we traveled with a
trabajo
group of
ministerial,
friends and
dos automóviles con
co-workers in this ministry. We traveled in two cars, 8 people total, and we arrived at dawn. We don't know the place. There's no church there yet. And we stopped at one hotel, another, and some of these people who were with me, they were looking for something less expensive. So they were saying, no, it's too expensive here, let's look for another one. And I was very tired because I had driven, and the day before that, I had worked all day in Bucaramanga, preaching and teaching. And so I turned into an avenue and I arrived to a hotel, which in that moment it was one of the best of the city. And so the anecdote is that we were invited by the management of the hotel and everything was completely free. So they were looking for the less expensive hotel and I took them to the one where they didn't have to pay a coin. And we were able to stay in one of the best hotels, receiving an excellent service. So we share those two anecdotes about the guidance of the Spirit. And so today, this Saturday, the 10th, no, the 15th, August 15th, oh no, it's October 15th, 2022. I got confused. So it's October 15th, 2022. I'm going to tell you, to share with you, two anecdotes. If it makes God look good, if God looks good, if it puts him in the level of glory, then it will become a testimony. And well, if it doesn't, then it will only be an anecdote. I have a niece in Colombia who is particularly persistent. Sometimes, I would say, almost exasperating. When she persists on something, she carves and carves and carves. So we were in the year 1996 in the city of Bogota, and she had a circle of prayer and study in the south of the city. And she talked to me repeatedly that she had this group of about 30, 25, 30 people, and she's getting them together in a place. And so she invites me. And she calls me Titico, that's me. It's the abbreviation of Tito. And Tico is the degeneration of the word Tito, which means like a small uncle, because I'm her uncle. So we have Tito, Tito, Titico. And so that's how the names are start changing. Imagine God now is called Jehovah. And so that's what can happen with names. Maybe, and in 5,000 years, I might be Theorin Blinklinkon Klinkon, or something like that. And what was my real name? Alfredo. Not related at all. But anyway, let's continue. That was just a commercial. Since we're now seeing the commercials in the programs, then, well, I'm presenting some too. And so, Titico, when are you coming with me to the circle? It's on Fridays. When are you coming with me? And I would say, I can't go this Wednesday. I can't go this Wednesday. And every week, she insisted and insisted. Like, I remember it was like 10,000 Wednesdays. Really, it should have been like 4, 5, or 6. But since she would tell me like 700 times each Wednesday, then one day she found me in the facilities that we had in the city of Bogota, in the one where we were blessed during the time that we were able to gather there, and we could let people that were needing, they could live there. And well, that was the first glory that already passed. And we are going towards the afterglory. And whatever is left behind, it could be people, animals, or things, they become just memories. We start to detach so that we won't get nostalgic or bitter, like those people that you see that their face is like if they were sucking on a lemon, or they were constipated, or both things at the same time. That's the face of being bitter. But the people who are full of life, of love, of light, they can look ahead. They look towards perfection. And what is left behind are anecdotes, where there is no glory for whichever God it is, or for the superior instance that there is. If there's no glory for them, then there's nothing. At least for me, there's nothing. Some people can stay there. Some people carry the trash can. When they move somewhere else, the first thing they take is the trash can. And they say, look, this was when I was offended. This was then when they did this to me. This was when I wasn't recognized. They carry their trash can. I also told you an anecdote of Sister Sofia Bernal, who wanted to host a woman and let her stay in her home, and she told her the only thing you need to do is to leave your trash outside. And the woman said, it's not trash, those are my things. And then the sister said to her, I'll give you new clothes. I'll give you everything new. Leave all of that outside. It smells bad. And the woman said, no, I won't separate from my things. She was being rescued to a new life and she preferred the street. So if someone wants to stay in the street and not have a new life, the door is wide and it's used for two things, to come in and to come out. And so let's continue. Those were also commercials. Okay, so it's 1996 and my niece is insisting and she's asking me to go, go, and go. And then finally one day I said to her, okay, let's go. Okay, right, let's go. Get on the car and let's go. And for those who don't know, the city of Bogota is a very big city. And for those who don't know the city of Bogota, I'm going to tell you something. No one knows that city. And I'm speaking literally, not even if you are a taxi driver for 20 years in the city of Bogota, you don't know it. I can demonstrate. There's more neighborhoods that you can imagine. There's more people that you can imagine. So in Bogota, it's not only that you don't know it, but it's changing. Every 5 or 10 years, it transforms. It starts getting bridges and avenues, diagonals, transversals that make it unrecognizable. And there are some classic places that you know, like the 7th Avenue, the 10th Avenue, the Caracas Avenue, the 68, the Boyacá Avenue. And people say, I know Bogota. Look, south, north, and the neighborhoods. Yes, I know it. But no, no, you don't know it. There's Suba, Kennedy, Tunal, which are kind of cities inside of it. And so, anyways, there's like 20 districts, and each district is bigger than any of the other big cities that there are in the Republic of Colombia. One of those districts is bigger than the city of Cali or Barranquilla. Just one. Kennedy is bigger. The district of Ciudad Tunal is bigger than Cali or Barranquilla. And so, like, really, to know the city is like saying, yes, I know God, or I know the Bible, or I know the ocean. No, obviously, no. You can have a very deep knowledge, but not complete. And since I wasn't a taxi driver for 20 years, well, I couldn't be able to say that I knew the city. So there are some sectors of the city that I know them through logic or through reference. Maybe because I had passed by or something. But well, we were traveling towards the south of the city through important avenues and then some other streets. And then we were on the streets of the neighborhoods. And then suddenly I said to my niece, we had already passed through here. And she said, the truth is that I'm lost. But she's been always asking me to go on Wednesdays. And she answered, I always came with someone else. And he's the one who takes me because he lives near there. But since I came with you today, I don't have a guide. And I said, oh Lord. I said to her, then now I'm going to ask you to be silent. And so I started driving. I went through some streets during 3 minutes, maximum 4 minutes. I think it was three. And so I parked before we reached a corner and I turned off the car and I told her, okay, we're here. And so she looked at me and she looked around and she said, no, sir, it's not here. And I said to her, yes, it's here. Get off the car. So she got off the car, I got off the car, and she said, it's not here, it's not here. And then suddenly she saw something and she said, oh yes, it is, it's there. It's that we always reach this place in the opposite direction. I had never come through the street. And so we had arrived to the corner in front of the place. And so there was a group of believers. I only knew a few of them, maybe two or three, and there were many new faces for me. And the anecdote is that just the same as I arrived to the meeting in Ibagué and as I arrived to the hotel in Cucuta, I arrived to the circle of prayer that was presided by the sister Elisa in 1996. And very well. We went upstairs, it was on the second floor, and she introduced me, and then I brought a message, a teaching, and I don't know, I still was somewhat discreet. I hope that I'm not anymore because years have passed and I hope that I have improved a little what is in here with work. And so I said, well, before I go, if there's anyone that's sick, I would like to pray for them. And so the owner of the house tells me, you mean sick? Is there a limit? And so that becomes like a challenge. And I said, no, because he was kind of cornering me already. And so he says, well, my mom is pretty bad. And so I said, as the host of a TV show in the 80s, let the mother come in. And so I asked, who's your mother? And he said, well, she's not here right now, but I can bring her. And I said, of course, bring her. And so he brought his mother, and it ended up that his mother, during the whole time we were there, she had been there in the meeting. She had been there all the time, like behind, because it was a house with apartments, but the doors of these apartments were not made of wood or metal, they were like curtains. And so he opened a curtain, and there was a woman. It was a very elderly woman. She was between 75 and 80 years, and she was on a wheelchair. And her legs were completely stunted by a type of rheumatoid arthritis, and her bones were like this, and her legs had reduced, and they were like this wide. They were very thin and
y los testigos
twisted,
eran así.
and her feet were like
Y
this.
entonces dijo,
And so he said,
¿puede
"Can
orar
you
por mi
pray for
hermano?" Y
my
yo,
mother?"
claro, puedo
And
orar.
of course,
Cualquiera puede orar.
anyone can pray.
El punto
But the
es
point
que
is,
en
in
este
this
caso
case,
los
the
sentidos estaban
senses
diciendo
were
algo,
saying something,
la fe
and the
está
faith is
diciendo todo
saying,
lo
I can do
correcto,
all
Efesios
things
4:13, que es
through
fundamental,
Christ who
Filipenses
strengthens me.
4:13,
And you
todo
know
lo
that
que
too.
dice
It's in
Filipenses,
Philippians
dice la fe,
4:13. I can do
pero el
all things
ojo
through
dice
Christ who strengthens me.
miércoles,
That's what faith
pero miren
says.
sus
But the
pies
eye
y
says,
esas
but look
piernas.
at those feet
Entonces, como
and
para
those
ganar unos
legs.
segundos, yo digo,
And so
¿hace
then,
cuánto tiempo
just
lleva
to
esta señora
gain
así?
some
No, pues
seconds, I
25
ask,
años.
how long has she been like this?
¿A qué horas me puse a
And the answer
investigar?
was 25 years. And so
Pero
I
ahora
thought,
sí la
why
anécdota.
did I
Yo
ask
les
that
había
question?
contado de
But
una
now the
en que
anecdote.
el
I
espíritu
had
me
told
dice,
you about the
dígale a esa
time that the
señora,
Spirit
una señora
had
que
told
estaba en una
me
silla de
to
ruedas,
tell a
de
woman who was
estirar.
in a
Y
wheelchair
yo,
to stand up. And I went like,
y finalmente no le
and
dije,
then finally I didn't say
desobedeciendo
that to her. I
la
disobeyed
guianza
the guidance
del
of the
espíritu.
Spirit. And
Y
another
ella,
young girl from
pobrecita,
another
creí
car
que
that
era
was
el
behind
tráfico,
because we
estábamos
were
en
in
un
a traffic
trancón,
jam due
en
to a
un
landslide
derrumbe
in the area of
en la
Peñas Blancas, I
zona de
think was the name.
Peñas
And so
Blancas,
that
creo
young
que se
girl
llamaba
came
esa zona,
and she made that other
fue la
woman
que
stand up.
llegó
And I
y
saw
levantó
how
a la
she stood
señora de la
up.
silla. Y la vi levantarse y la
And
vi
so then
pararse.
I remembered
Y
that
dije, bueno,
situation. And so
pues
my
como la
grandmother
abuelita
used to
decía
say
que a los perros
that
no les
there was a
hacen
surgery
cierto
that a
tipo de
dog
cirugías, sino
would
que les
only have
adelgazan la vida.
once in a
Y dije,
lifetime.
pues,
And well,
aunque yo no
even though
sea
I'm not a
perro,
dog, I wasn't
no
going
voy
to
a
repeat
repetir.
and have that
Entonces,
situation happen again.
les dije, lo
And
único
so
que
I
les
said to
pido a
them, the
todos
only thing that
ustedes
I ask
es,
of
voy a
all of
orar por la
you,
señora,
I'm going to pray for this
ustedes
woman,
cierren sus ojos.
and you need to close your
Bueno,
eyes.
lo que les voy a decir
And
a
well,
continuación
what I'm going
es
to
el
tell you
condimento de la
next,
anécdota. Y es
it's
que
like the
la hermana Elisa,
spices
desde
of
el
the anecdote.
1996
And
a
is
esta
that
parte, ha
Sister
avanzado
Elisa, since
bastante
1996
espiritualmente. Por
to
ejemplo,
now,
ustedes cierran sus
she
ojos
has
y ella
advanced a lot
cerró los
spiritually
suyos.
because, for example, I
Bueno,
said, close your eyes,
entonces, y
and
me
she only
argumenta, ¿no? Me
closed
dice,
one
si hubiera
eye.
cerrado
And
los dos,
she arguments and says, if
pues
I
no
had closed
tendrías un
both eyes,
testimonio. Y
you
yo no
wouldn't
quería
have a
testigos,
witness.
precisamente por eso
And
quería
so I
cerrar
said,
los
I
ojos.
didn't want any
Me
witnesses.
sentía
That's
más en
precisely why I
confianza,
asked people to close
como
their
más en
eyes. I felt
intimidad con
more
Dios,
confident, like there
estoy
was more
abriendo mi
intimacy
corazón,
with
una
God. That's
infidencial,
opening my heart to you, more like
que
an
teniendo
infidency.
muchos
Than
ojos
if
mirando,
there were so many eyes
¿será que
looking
sí?
and they
¿Será que
would be
no? ¿Qué va a
doubting and
suceder?
saying, oh, would it
Porque
be
todo ese
possible?
carga que
Yes or
tenía,
no? What
toda
is
esa
going to
especie de
happen?
pánico
And all of
escénico
that
que
generates a
afecta
kind
de una
of
manera u otra
stage
la
fright
expectativa
that
de la
affects
familia,
one way
el
or
hijo
another
que me está
the
diciendo, ella es mi
expectations of
mamá,
the family, the son that's
etcétera,
saying, this
etcétera.
is my mother. And
Bueno,
so the
el caso
situation
es
was
que
that
sí, la gente cierra
finally
sus ojos
people closed
piadosamente,
their eyes
obedientemente,
piously or obediently. Everyone but
menos
Elisa.
Elisa.
Now
Elisa
she
ya
closes like
desde el
an eye
punto de
and a
cierra,
half.
ojo
She
tiene,
has
ya
progressed
ha progresado su
in her
obediencia.
obedience.
Puede ya
Now
cerrar
there's
los ojos
just
y
only a
abrirlos como
little
ellos gustan.
slit.
O sea que en los
So
próximos
in the next
25 años
25
ya está
years, she will
cerrando
be
los dos.
closing both of them.
Vamos bien.
We're doing good.
Bueno,
Well,
y si
and
la
then
persona
so, yes,
sí se
her
enderezaron los
feet
piecitos
and
y
her
los
legs
movimientos
uncrooked,
y sí se
and
pudo.
she was able to stand up.
Esa es la
That's the
parte
part that's
clara que
clear
yo les voy a
because for
aclarar.
God there's nothing
Lo que es
impossible.
difícil
It's
no
not
es enderezar
difficult
huesos, lo
to
difícil es
uncrook a
enderezar
bone.
gente
What
retorcida
is
por años
difficult
y años de
is
incredulidad.
to
Eso sí era difícil.
uncrook
Porque yo
a
viví en
mind that
intensas
has
batallas
been
absolutamente con
twisted
eso.
for
Y
years
cuando
of
me
years
acercaba a
of
algo, algo
unbelief.
místico, algo
That was
trascendente,
difficult
religión,
because I
era ir
lived
a, a,
23
a
years in
repeticiones,
absolute
a preces,
ignorance. And when I
a
got near to
formas,
something
a cosas
mystical, it was just
externas.
religion.
Y
It was just
entonces
there, repetition,
mi mente
prayers,
ya estaba muy
formalisms. And
formada
so
inclusive por
my
los huesos de
terrenal
la señora.
mind was
Esa
way
era la
more
parte
twisted
difícil,
than the woman's
poder
bones. That was the
enderezar,
difficult part,
poner
to
las
be
cosas en
able
derecho.
to strengthen
Esa es
here,
una
to
de las
put
dos
things
anécdotas.
right. That's
Recordando en
one
estos días
of the two
cosas del
anecdotes.
pasado,
Remembering
compartiéndolos
these
para que
days,
pueda
the
ir la
things from the
bendición al
past,
presente.
and sharing
La
them so
segunda
they can
anécdota
be a
es que por
blessing to
aquel
the
tiempo
present.
y desde
The
antes,
second anecdote
desde los
is that during
años
that time and before,
80,
from
90
the 80s,
y
the
miles,
90s,
digamos, durante
and
esas
the
tres décadas,
2000, around
en todos
those
los
three
eventos
decades,
que
there was
iglesias
never a
colombianas se
price
realizan
or a cost
en el
for
alcance de
any of the events
nunca tenían un
that we
precio
had
de tarifa ni de
of the
lectura,
congregation, but they
simplemente
were completely
completamente
free of
libre
cost
de
for the
costo
people.
para las personas.
And well,
Y
normally I would
claramente el
cover the cost of
público
the
completo
events on my
de
personal
manera
account.
fundacional.
And during that
Por aquel
time,
tiempo tampoco
only the people that were in front of
solamente
the
las personas que estaban
congregations
al frente de la
would
congregación
receive
recibían
an aid,
un
an
auxilio.
emolument.
Claramente yo
I
no,
didn't.
eso no,
I never
no,
saw it done,
no
and I never did
debía
it for
hacerlo,
myself.
ni lo
And so
hice,
these
ni
hands
lo hice.
have worked,
Pues estas
and
manos
this
me
head
han servido y esta
and
cabeza
this
y esta
mouth,
boca y
well,
bueno, en fin, está
working.
trabajando.
I'm a
Soy
communicator.
comunicador,
I've
soy,
been
puedo
able
ser un hombre de
to be a
negocios,
man
puedo
of
ser muchas
business.
cosas. Ya otro
I've
día
been able to do many things. Another day we will talk. I have a
grabarles el
compromise to
testimonio
tell you the
de verdad,
testimony,
que es
which
algo
is
muy
an
personal.
anecdote,
Entonces,
personal
es posible que
testimony. So it
próximamente
is
lo cuente.
possible that I'll let you
Este
know some
personaje,
things about this character
Alfredo
soon,
Peña,
so
como
that I
para
can tell the
contar la historia
story
al menos una
at
vez en la vida,
least
porque
once in
llevo
a lifetime.
46 años
Because it's been
en
46
este
years
camino
on this road,
y
and
normalmente
I've
nunca
never done it.
lo he hecho.
Some
Lo que
people
pasa es que
that
si
are
estamos en
near
la
to
vida
me
conocen
know
algunas
some of the
historias y
stories,
personas,
and others
como
know
ya conocen
others. And you
la de
know, for now, the
Elisa y
one
su
of
círculo
Elisa and
en el
her
centro
circle of
histórico
prayer in the
de
south of
Bogotá.
Bogota.
Bueno,
And well, this
esta anécdota
anecdote
es que
is that
yo
I would
cubría todos
cover all of
los
the
eventos
events
de reuniones.
or
Bueno, hemos
gatherings,
estado
and
hablando
we have
la
been talking
importancia
about
y la
the
necesidad que ya
importance
nuestra alma
and the need,
se
and
agita
our soul
y
is
nuestro corazón
stirring, and our
palpita,
heart is
no
pounding,
como una papa frita,
and
que
not
es
as a
un
potato chip, which is also
lugarcito de
a
los
commercial,
años escolares,
but our
pero
heart
sí hay
did
un
pound
palpitar de nuestro
as
corazón
the servant
con el
roars
desierto
through
ya
clean
por
streams
límpidas corrientes,
with the hope
en el deseo
of the
de reencontrar.
convention of the
Yo les
re-encounter.
había hablado
I
que
had
estamos
talked to you
ya a las
that we
puertas
are at the
de
door
poder presentar y
of
poder
being able
notificar.
to present and
Entonces,
notify.
estamos
And so we are
haciendo
going to
lo
do
siguiente.
the following.
Pónganse sus
Put on
cinturones de
your
seguridad.
seatbelts. We are going to have
Vamos a
a
tener
great
un
convention.
gran congreso,
A great,
gran
great
congreso.
convention.
Y lo vamos a
And
presentar
we are going
en
to
sociedad como se presenta en
pres-
sociedad
present it to
cuando
society
una
as it is
niña
done
anda en
when
los
there's a
15
girl
años,
in
cuando ya está
her
en
sweet
los adultos,
16s
30
and she
años,
has her dress and
o
she's wearing
cuando
high
el
heels,
joven
or when the
judío
young
llegó a los
Jewish
13 años
boy
de edad y
is
entonces
13
celebran
and they
el
celebrate
bar
their
mitzvah
bar mitzvah,
y
and then he
ya
becomes a
es
man
un
with
hombrecito con
responsibilities
responsabilidades
inside
dentro de
the
la Kehilá.
Kehillah.
En fin, sea algo
Anyway,
así.
it's going to be something
Entonces
like
vamos a
that. And so
presentar
we are
en
going to
sociedad ese
present the
congreso.
convention into society.
Y
And
estamos
we are making a
haciendo
list
una lista
of special
de
guests.
invitados
And
especiales.
among these guests,
Dentro de los cuales
surely
invitados
you will be
especiales
there.
estarás tú.
This
Ese
convention will take
congreso
place in a place
es
that I won't
en
tell
un
you
lugar,
now,
no te digo ahora
on a
ninguna
date
fecha,
that
no te
I
digo
won't tell
dónde,
you now, but
pero sí te
I will
voy a
tell you,
decir
I'll tell you
dos cosas
two
en los
things
próximos segundos.
during the next
Va a ser un congreso
seconds. It's going to
poco
be a
inusual,
convention
según
not on a high standard, but it's going to be above the highest standard. It doesn't mean that it's going to be in Machu Picchu, but I refer to it being the top of the top, the best of the best in all of the senses. And I can also tell you the cost because I know that you have been saving for this convention. So that cost, take out your pen and paper, completely free. That's the price for that convention. It will be the convention of conventions. And well, now that you know that, you can think about what you're going to do with the millions that you have been saving since we are here on the cloud. Because I imagine that you have that discipline and that motivation to do it. Well, now you have them there. You don't know what to do with that million. Well, you can use them to buy a house or a car. And so, anyways, we are going to announce it and present it with a projection of a video. And we're going to show it on a great night, a gala, which we are going to call the White Night. The White Night will be a night that is very near to today. In this year, 2022, we are going to get together. Why is it called the White Night? Well, because each of the people who are going to be present in that event will be dressed in white. And since the weather is tropical, well, it can be a short sleeve shirt, white pants, white shoes. It's not informal. Well, it isn't either like very elegant, but well presented wearing white. And it will be in a very exclusive place, a place which is very elegant, and it's in Colombia, in the city of Cartagena. And the cost is also completely free. It's the promotional, the prefix, the appetizer of the convention. That's where we're going to present the convention. And we're going to re-encounter there with a group. Not all of the people that are going to go to the convention will be there. But what we're doing is creating some invitation cards, and the place where it's going to take place, they don't allow us to have too many people there. And since this place is very strict with its things, well, then in the course of the next few weeks, you will receive to your email the invitation with the date and the place, day and time where we are going to toast. We're going to have a glass of champagne and put our glass up high on the name of the re-encounter. In the convention, well, there will be many more people because, well, it's going to be in a place that will allow us to have that great amount and with all the comfort without feeling squeezed. So that's why I said it would be a convention of the highest level, and it will be different to all of the ones that you have lived. If you have been in international conventions of the new church, if you've been in conventions in one place or another, or other types of events, this one will not be similar to anything. And the prelude, well, itself, it might be better than any of the conventions that have passed. And that would just be the presentation of the convention. And so this is an anecdote. And maybe if we do things well, in some time, it will become a testimony and it will be able to be as the elements that once Moses received and put them inside the ark. And that's why it was called the Ark of Testimony. And so maybe this that we are talking today, just a normal talk, colloquially, can become a testimony if it is taken to the ark of your heart as a testimony. So that's how it becomes, and it overpasses the area of an anecdote. We've been waiting, we've been longing for it, and it is coming. So we said it on the title, and we are confirming it now. We made it. The pandemia passed that year. That was difficult. It was full of difficulties. For some, it was a financial bankrupt. For others, it was an affliction or depression due to being locked in. But the message was coming at the right time, bringing peace and what is needed, the trust, the healing. Then the year 2021 came, and we extended the cover of prayer from Sunday to Sunday so that there wouldn't be any illness among the people, as we have said it for years. But we need to live it. We need to experience it. Because when things become an experience, that's when things really happen. I have two cameras in front of me. Which of those two, or both, can I look here and here? Okay, and so for the people that are connected for the first time, you might be thinking, and this might also be an anecdote for the future, you might think that the preacher is crossed-eyed because sometimes I'm looking to one side and then to the other. But no, believe me, my eyes are straight, but I had never had this experience. There's no camera here. There's no camera here. And I have two right in front of me. So sometimes we are looking at it like this to one of them and then to the other. I'm going to repeat it so that you can see the difference. So here I'm looking at you, you're in this camera, and now at you that are here. Okay, alright. Very well. So there's a need to ask. Last week we said it. It's better to be embarrassed for 1 minute than to be all paled and embarrassed of not having asked. I don't feel embarrassed. So, since the first day when the light shone upon me, who are you, Lord? Because, of course, there's a need to ask. You need to ask to know in front of what or in front of who you are. You need to inquire, explore, scan, to look for. Look for and you will find. But he who doesn't look for, then he won't find anything. Whatever it comes to him. And do you know what you're going to receive if you stay still? You will receive dirt, gossip, desolation, ruin, illness, and then you will also receive death. But when you're really looking for it, you're walking, you are marching in this great crusade which we are going through. What no one walked, the valley of the shadow of death that we talked about last week. Month 4, month 5, and month 6 without any feasts. Christianity stayed here, enjoying salvation, enjoying the gifts of the Holy Spirit, all the dreams and the visions and the prophecies, well, they stayed there. No one wanted to go on to perfection. No one, but one small group, compared with those that are thousands that say that believe, and they are in a pilgrimage where there is nothing. What happened in 2020 as a convention? Nothing. And what happened in 2021? Nothing. And in 2022, we are launching. And there might be 100, 200, 300, 1,000, 1,500. And the people who are going to be invited will be able to see it with their own eyes. And so, of course, you can prepare your savings not for the convention, but for your transportation, your personal expenses, whatever you want to spend on yourself. You deserve it. Invest in yourself in all the areas. Very well. Here our message finishes of the two anecdotes, because the time for things will always come. We have been together today for 40 minutes. It's enough time, and now we are going to give thanks. The image is going to go onto off, and we're going to give thanks.
Abrimos este espacio para que puedas expresar en oración lo profundo de tu corazón, y de esta manera aparecerá un gran clamor corporativo alrededor del mundo. Cada vez más y más almas se unirán, y así millares de voces se irán entretejiendo en unidad, trayendo a la tierra la regente presencia del león. No más el cachorrito de león de la profecía, sino el gran león de la tribu de Judá, que es el único que puede vencer para abrir el libro y desatar los 7 sellos. De esta manera, empezamos a glorificar al Cordero que fue inmolado, dándole la dignidad de tomar el poder, las riquezas, la sabiduría, la fortaleza, la honra, la gloria y la alabanza. Amén, y amén, y amén, y amén.